What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monty Sports Show. It is Monday, July 25th, 2022. I am your host, Monty Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. You can follow me on social media on Twitter, MontyJP231, on TikTok, Monty Perez 231, Monty Perez 231. We are about to hit 950,000 views on TikTok. 950,000 views. We're going to get to 1 million within the next week. So I want to thank everyone for supporting TikTok and following me on social media. Make sure to give us the thumbs up for this particular episode. Make sure to subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. We are slowly but surely building up a bunch of subscribers on the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. Quick programming note. We're probably going to do one or two more shows on Monday night. Then we'll start the Sunday shows at 11 a.m. Preseason is starting soon. And then this fall, we're going to do Sundays at 11, Mondays at 7 p.m. Sundays will be the preview, and then Monday with Brad Ward, A. Marie, and we might have another surprise guest joining us every week to break down the National Football League. Again, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. We have the best guests all across the country. This week is no exception. We're going to have Joe Cardoso, the owner, operator, founder of Nuts and Bolts Sports. He's going to talk about his New York Yankees. Also going to talk about the NBA, the Washington football team, and a slew of topics. And then one of our favorite guests, George Lopez, out in LA, joining us to talk about the Dodgers just keep winning. They're so annoying. Talk about his Rams. I think actually I'm going to have an article tomorrow on Nuts and Bolts Sports, my top 10 power rankings, my first power rankings for the NFL season, obviously preseason, subject to change. But I'm really proud of this article. Did a lot of research, a lot of studying on it, and we'll get George's take on what he thinks his Rams will do. And we'll touch a little bit about the Lakers with LeBron James. Are they keeping Russell Westbrook? Listen, all indications are that Anthony Davis is really taking this offseason seriously, as he should. He has a boxing trainer. He's got a strength and conditioning coach. He's got a cardio trainer. So, listen, we're going to say a lot of the names today in the Drinko Bingo card. It is 5 o'clock somewhere. We start each show with the good, the bad, and the funny. But let me just tell you, it's not going to be the funny this week. It's going to be the good, the bad, and then other things that I want to talk about that I couldn't talk about last week because I got my wisdom teeth pulled. So again, the good, the bad, and then a couple of topics. Okay, 1 week from Thursday, the NFL season kicks off with the Hall of Fame game, Jacksonville versus the Las Vegas Raiders. People have been, a lot of people get depressed after the football season. And, maybe I haven't noticed it so much because, like I said, normally the Mets season is over first week of July, but they are still in first place. I have the MLB package, so I watch the Met games when they're on. So I haven't really noticed how much I miss football. But I went to Chili's the other day, met one of my friends there, and they had the Packer-Arizona game on. I'm like, wow, I do miss football. So that is great news. The NFL will be back 1 week from Thursday, August 4th. So real quickly, I'm going to give you my top 3 stories going into the NFL. My top 3 stories going into the NFL season 2022. Here they are. Okay, who's coming out of the AFC West? We are looking at potentially, believe it or not, 4 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Now you may say, okay, obviously Justin Herbert, who broke Dan Marino's record for most completions in his first 2 seasons. Patrick Mahomes, we know he's a Hall of Famer. Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer. And if Derek Carr keeps playing like he has the last few seasons, he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer too. This division is going to be super exciting. It's going to be a must-watch. I kind of have the Chargers and the Chiefs 1 and 2. Maybe not in that order. I still think the Chiefs are the team to beat. But No one was more aggressive in the offseason than the Chargers in getting defensive players. So that's my first story. Who comes out of the AFC West? My second story is the Miami Dolphins. They now have two of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. Remember, they got Tyreek Hill from Kansas City and Jalen Waddle. People don't realize this. Jalen Waddle broke Anquan Bolden's rookie record for most receptions in a season last year with Tua, coming in and out of the starting lineup. So this team, they bring in an offensive coach, the offensive coordinator for the 49ers, who everyone says is a perfect fit for them. And this team should be able to put up points. Now, the one weakness is this offensive line, depending on what you look at. Pro Football Focus has them anywhere from 18 to 22. So expect a lot of misdirections, a lot of reverses, quick screens. This is the year for Tua to take the next step and maybe not win the division, but win 11 and 12 games and get to the playoffs. And then my number three story is, look, I think the Packers are going to be good. They have two very good running backs in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, but you're without Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers is playing to a bunch of guys that he doesn't trust, and that's on Aaron Rodgers. That's on Aaron Rodgers. One of the things that I really respect about quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, a young Justin Herbert, it doesn't matter who's playing. They find the wide receiver that is open. Tom Brady has done this for years. Tom Brady will throw to used to throw to Antonio Brown for 10 times in one game, and then he doesn't throw to him for another two games, maybe four or five times because other wide receivers are open and he's taking advantage of the mismatch. Aaron Rodgers loved throwing to Devontae Adams, whether he was double teamed or not. He has to evolve. So that's my three biggest stories right there. The AFC West, can Tua and the Dolphins have a pretty explosive offense? And how far back do the Packers fall after losing Devontae Adams? All right, so that's the good. Now let's talk about the bad. Look, I know the Mets have had a plethora of injuries with their baseball team. I know this, okay? The, DeGrom has not pitched. Scherzer was out. Every one of the starting five has missed games. But the bottom line of this order lineup with Guillorme, Nitto, JD Davis, they are atrocious. The Mets catchers have the worst production out of any lineup in the National League. I think they have 4 home runs total between three catchers. I know McCann has been out, but he didn't play well last year. The top 5 or 6 players for the Mets in the top of the order are very good, very productive. But 6 to 9, it's an automatic out. It's an automatic out. And I don't want to hear that, oh, with the pitching and the playoffs, go out and get someone. You look at the Dodgers lineup, the Yankees lineup, the Cardinals, even the Phillies, 1 through 7, 8, and 9. They're spectacular. Look at the Braves lineup. I'm tired of second and third, first and second, one out. Luis Guillorme gets up and he hits into a double play. Nitto strikes out. You have a catcher in the minor league in Francisco Alvarez, who's the #1 prospect in Major League Baseball. Why aren't you calling him up? Now, I'm not saying go out and get Juan Soto, but you got to, with that pitching staff, DeGrom healthy, Scherzer, Walker, Bassett, with that pitching staff that you have, you can win any series come postseason. But when your 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters are batting 230, 220, and they're not producing, you cannot compete on a consistent basis with the Yankees, with the Braves, with the Cardinals, with Milwaukee. Now, Buck Showalter has said all the right things. He said, yes, we're trying to do things, but I don't understand. The other night, Saturday, first and third, 2 out. You have Jeff McNeil on the bench, and he doesn't take Nitto out, who's batting 220, 2 home runs. Every time the Mets bottom half gets up. Now, last night, they came through and they had hits, and someone tweeted at me, "Oh, you still think they stink?" Dude, don't be a fanboy. One game does not make a season. So the trading deadline is August 2nd. I would love to see them get Martinez from the Boston Red Sox. I would love to see them get Mancini. I would love to see them get anyone. There are a lot of players out there that you don't have to go for Juan Soto. I understand he's going to command $400 million, if not more. But let's be honest. This is New York. You should not be getting outbid by other teams. The Yankees never get outbid. The Red Sox, look at the Dodgers payroll. The time is now. The Mets have the pitching. You have not won a World Series since 1986. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Okay, moving on. So JJ Redick said on ESPN, and he said Bob Cousy was being guarded by plumbers and firemen. Bob Cousy shot back. People with less talent will make themselves, be better. Jerry West, who's the NBA logo. If you look at the NBA, the logo is copied after Jerry West. Great player. Said, what did JJ Redick do? Average 12 points a game? Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. JJ Redick was an absolute pro's pro. Okay? JJ Redick had a stretch, okay? Had a stretch where he averaged 15 to 19 points 8 out of 9 seasons. 8 out of 9 seasons. Top 20 in three-point shooting. 89% from the foul line. JJ Redick had 14 straight years where he made the playoffs. And Jerry West is saying, what impact did he have? LeBron James would kill to have had a JJ Redick. So would Kobe. I don't like comparing different eras, but let's be honest. JJ Redick was 6'4" and an absolute stud shooter. Bob Cousy, for all his titles and all his greatness, never shot over 40% from the field. Ever. And just because JJ Redick didn't win a title doesn't mean he doesn't know the NBA. Let's be honest, Jerry West. Don't talk about how much of an impact you had on your team because you were 1-8 in NBA Finals. Yeah, everyone wants to make fun of LeBron. Jerry West was 1-8 in NBA Finals. So don't talk about having an impact because JJ Redick never won a title. Now, look, I say this all the time. I played, I coached, okay? So you have a unique perspective. You don't have to be an NBA player to understand what college, high school, as long as you played competitively, you have a general understanding of what's going on. I have more problem with someone like Skip Bayless, who never made his high school varsity team. He didn't even play, going out and talking trash about LeBron James, who has 4 finals MVPs. Think about it. It's Jordan has 6, and then LeBron has 4. And Skip Bayless couldn't make his high school team. He made it, but he never played. I'd rather criticize him than someone like JJ Redick, who, let's be honest, had a very good professional career. Again, 8 out of 9 seasons, he averaged 15 to 19 points a game. He made himself a very good, reliable shooter. So I don't want to hear I don't want to hear him say, oh, what impact did he have? He has every right to say it. And I'm not criticizing the Celtics and the Knicks, but if you watch those films, come on, man. The players today are bigger, faster, stronger. And let's be honest, LeBron James is 6'9", 250. Patrick Ewing, and LeBron James is a point guard. Patrick Ewing, one of the 50th greatest players of all time, was 6'10", 225 center. Couldn't pass, couldn't really dribble, rebound, block shot. Different time. But you take any good player like a JJ Redick with his skill set and you put him in the 70s and the 60s, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, Bob Cousy never shot over 40%. Never. And there wasn't three-point shooting back then. All right. Now, finally, before we get Joe on and George Lopez on, I am so sick of politicians, whether it's getting away of leading to a violent insurrection at the Capitol. I am so sick of actors getting away with driving drunk or domestic violence or whatever. I'm so sick of athletes and politicians they don't pay taxes. They steal from their constituents. You have a couple of women who I won't mention from the Republican Party who took donations to pay their bills, go on vacation, and they're still in Congress. Which leads me to my next point. Let me just start by saying, obviously, I'm a Packer fan, okay? But I was never a Brett Favre fan, ever. And this mindset that John Madden, oh, he's a gunslinger. I don't want a gunslinger. When you're up 27-20 with a minute left and it's 3rd and 8, I don't want you throwing an interception, Brett, which he did several times. Now, and again, I don't care what someone does in their personal life as long as they're not committing crimes, right? I have no idea what Brett Favre's marriage is like. I do know this. When Brett Favre was addicted to painkillers, he said that, he got his strength from his wife. She's his rock. She made him realize that what he can be as a man. Well, a few years later, Brett Favre was sending nude pictures while married to a Jets reporter. I've never been a Brett Favre guy. The toxic masculinity, the Wrangler jeans, the refusal to evolve. Some of the things he said over the past few years about Colin Kaepernick is disgusting. But this is even more disgusting about Brett Favre. This is even more disgusting about Brett Favre. A lawyer working for a Mississippi state agency and trying to recoup tens of millions of dollars in misused welfare funds was fired after he issued a subpoena that could turn up details about the involvement of prominent Republican Mississippians, including former Governor Phil Bryant and retired football star Brett Favre, in one of the ugliest scandals in one of the poorest states. The lawyer, J. Brad Pigot, a former U.S. attorney, had been working for the Mississippi Department of Human Services, the agency that distributes Mississippi federal welfare grants. The audit showed that as much as $94 million was distributed, and most of it to people like Brett Favre. Brett Favre, and they hit it, was paid $1.1 million for speaking engagements that he didn't even attend. They made them up. Now, Brett Favre gave the money back only after he was caught. And he refuses to pay the $228 in accrued interest. Again, I am so sick and tired of athletes, politicians, actors getting away with this. Brett Favre was going to steal $1.1 million from people who needed it in one of the poorest states in the country. And the only reason he gave it back is because he got caught. And now you fire the guy who has been leading this investigation, not for any wrongdoing, just because he's going after the corrupt, fraudulent, Mississippi's own Brett Favre. Talk about some BS. And to make matters worse, yesterday on Twitter, there's some born-again Christian app, and they have Brett Favre as their spokesperson. What? Here's a guy who cheated on his wife, addicted to painkillers, robbing Mississippians of money, and he's your spokesperson? Guys, can we do better? Can we prosecute those who are criminals? I don't care if they're white, black, rich, poor. Well, poor people always get prosecuted. Brett Favre took over $1 million, and the only reason he didn't say anything was because he got caught. In every way, this guy is a fraud. In every way. And now a Christian website he's their spokesperson? He's the definition of what not to be a Christian. If you look at the antithesis of a Christian, it's Brett Favre. I'm going to calm down there because I have so many more things that I wrote down that I want to say about Brett Favre, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to read the comments here. Yeah, we don't like you, Brett Favre. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, shots. Yeah, Skip Bayless should be added to the drinking game. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. All right, when we come back, we're going to have the owner, operator, Joe Cardoso. It's going to be an annoying segment because they're going to talk about the Dodgers and they're going to talk about the Yankees, and I'm a fan of neither. You're watching the full Monte Sports Show live on YouTube.
East Coast Covers, creator of the Smart Commuter Cover, designs and manufactures custom American handmade quality products. It is the only cover with an adjustable 4-toggle lock-in cord system, which lets you create the fit you want without the need for additional tie-downs. The cover conveniently self-stores when pulled into the attached backpack and also provides a pocket for storing small belongings. Nearly 42 years of riding experience are behind every design with a cover for whatever two wheels you ride.
Enjoy 40% off site-wide. Vitable takes the guesswork out of feeling good. Get your own personalized daily vitamin pack safely delivered to your doorstep every month. Take their online quiz to find out which vitamins and minerals can support your personal needs based on your own diet and lifestyle. Hashtag only what you need, nothing that you don't. All vitamins are manufactured in Australia at the highest quality standard. Ingredients come in the best form for their absorption by your body. Enjoy 40% off site-wide using code NBS40 at checkout.
All right, let's bring on the owner, operator, founder, Mr. Workaholic like myself, Joe Cardoso. Joe, how are you today?
Hey, what's going on, Monte? I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Joe, you were rolling your eyes with my Brett Favre rant.
No, I didn't know where you're going with that, but I agree with you. Everything you said. If you had gone farther and talked a little more, I would have completely understood.
Yeah, no. It's just again, I'm
what
just
a clown.
I'm so tired of just if you have money, you get away with everything. Yeah. I'm tired of it. You know, I haven't. I'll give you a quick story. A few months ago, I had to get some wine for a party that we were having for one of the companies that I was working for, and I bought the wine at Whole Foods, used the company credit card. There was a natural energy shot that I wanted to get because I was going home and I was going to work out. It was $1.99. I had them ring it up separately and pay separately because I was like, and I could have done it because they give me gas money or whatever. But no, because I'm honest. I would never take I'm just, when it comes to money, my parents have raised me to be very honest. And Brett Favre taking by the way, it's more than $1 million that he has. He just gave back 1.1, and there's more that they're looking into, and they fired the guy who is looking into this.
What are Brett Favre's total earnings? Like, is it that serious? Is he that money? Is he that strapped? How much money did he make during his NFL career? That he's got to steal money from one of the poorest states in the country? Like, come on, man.
Listen, I'm going to stop there because I had a whole other page that I was going to go off. All right, Joe, let's talk about your New York Yankees. Almost at 200 run differential. They are on pace to I think they're going to break the record of the Seattle Mariners, which many people don't even know that the Seattle Mariners in 2001 set the record for 116 wins. Let's get your Yankee background up here.
I feel like I'm at home already.
Does this team have a weakness?
I mean, it's always going to come down to pitching. I mean, how many times have the Yankees had one of the greatest 1 through 9 lineups in the league, and then they get into the playoffs and they encounter a hot pitcher or two, and all of a sudden those bats aren't hitting home runs. They're line drive outs, they're strikeouts, they're grinding in double plays. So as a Yankee fan, I'm just hoping that the hot bats can continue through the playoffs. And if there's a weakness, I would say pitching a little bit. You can't just rely on Garrett Cole to do everything. I mean, of course, having a pitcher come out of nowhere, nobody saw Nestor Cortez doing what he's doing this season. But having those two guys, you can definitely use a couple more arms. And even the bullpen. I mean, Aroldis Chapman gives me heartburn every time he takes the mound. So to get somebody else on the back end wouldn't hurt. And then obviously what we're talking about with those home runs kind of going away sometimes in the playoffs, a solid hitter, a guy that that can get up there and get you that single, get you that double, that you don't have to worry about home run or bust. So we'll see.
You bring up a great point because obviously the Yankees are first in home runs. They're number one in so many offensive categories. But during the playoffs, that's why Houston, who plays small ball, the Yankees can't beat Houston, right? You look at teams, the Dodgers can hit the home run, but they can create runs. Are you nervous that the Yankees are just living and dying by the long ball? The Braves are like that. The Braves will strike out 10 times a game, but they'll hit 6 home runs.
I am and I'm not. The reason why I say I'm not is because I'm hoping, knock on wood, that we've learned from past postseason failures. And I also would love to do anything in the world to avoid Houston in the playoffs. But I'm hoping that we learn from that. And like I said, maybe this is different. Maybe this is the postseason where we do have home runs going out left and right like we've been having during the regular season. Just taking a look at the past Yankee teams, that hasn't been the case. I would love for that to be the case this season because it's been a fun season. Aaron Judge, Stanton. I mean, we're having a lot of great moments this season for the Yankees. Who saw Matt Carpenter doing what he's doing right now?
Yeah, it's funny because I look at what Aaron Judge is doing. They're not just Aaron Judge. He's getting all the recognition.
Yeah.
But I think at one point, Judge and 2 other players, obviously Giancarlo Stanton and the guy from Chicago. I can't remember his name right now. What's his name? Rizzo.
Yeah.
Rizzo. They had more home runs, those 3 guys, than the Mets had. And Pete Alonso has 24 home runs, but those 3 guys are constantly putting pressure. What's the difference, Joe? Because let's be honest, there was talk about the manager and maybe he doesn't know how to manage superstars. I mean, Aaron Judge is the MVP right now, but what's the difference? Why are they so dominant and hitting so well when they had pretty much the same lineup last year?
I just think a lot of guys that were kind of so-so, maybe even you can say underperforming last season, aren't doing that season. I mean, Stanton gets paid a boatload of money, and Yankee fans, if you're on Yankee Twitter as much as I am, nobody gets crucified on social media as bad as that guy has because of the injuries, the nagging injuries, and you'll see flashes of what he used to do when he played for the Marlins. Then he's out for a couple weeks of a hamstring or a knee or a shoulder. You haven't seen that this season. Matt Carpenter was kind of a throw-in. His contribution to what he's doing. So a lot of guys that you thought they're going to be the same thing they've been doing the last couple of years, which is underperform or not perform when it matters. That's not been the case this year. And like you said, like everybody's been seeing, Aaron Judge is leading the charge. I just hope that we can lock this guy in and keep him in the New York Yankees uniform.
We'll get to that in a minute. Let's bring on George Lopez now. George, how are you today?
Doing better now, but I hate this modern technology sometimes, man. Right when you're ready to call me on, let's shut down. It's Monday. The Monday blues, man.
Listen, George, you should be, I was talking to my friend Andrea, and she's like, oh, he's going to be so annoying because the Rams won a Super Bowl, and your Dodgers, who started off slow, have now just taken off. 10-game lead. They just swept San Francisco, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
First 4-game sweep at Dodger Stadium in, almost 10 years, I believe.
I just asked Joe this about the Yankees. What is the weakness, if any, on this team?
Well, the weakness that you look at is a third of their starting lineup isn't hitting. I was looking at their stats. I have it right here. Max Muncy's hitting 159. Cody Bellinger's hitting 207.
Wait, George. How is it possible? Those guys are perennial, borderline all-stars. How are they hitting under 230, both of them?
Well, Muncy, I think he still hasn't fully recovered from that elbow injury he sustained on the last game of last season. I think he still has problems with it, and it's affected his swing, and he's trying to get it back. We saw the same thing with Cody Bellinger last year when he came back from that shoulder surgery. He wasn't the same. He started coming back at playoff time, but he altered his swing, and I think Monte did the same thing. Now, the crazy thing about Monte, he's not hitting it for a lick, but he still is one of the top players in on-base percentage because he still draws a lot of walks.
Now, George, I look at this lineup, and I asked Joe earlier, the Dodgers are 7th in home runs, but they don't live and die like the Braves do or the Yankees do with the long ball. Are you concerned that, hey, if the bats go cold and we rely on the home run too much, come the postseason, they'll be in trouble because they can't manufacture runs, especially if the guys laid up in your lineup don't come around and start hitting?
Oh, there's always a concern once the bats go cold. And it doesn't matter what team you are. If you're a power hitting team like the Yankees, or if you're a team that likes to grind it out, which the Dodgers are traditionally known to do under Dave Roberts, grind out at bats. And you've seen stretches where the bats go cold. In today's game, no one manufactures runs. No one's bunting the guy over. No one's doing hit and run. So we could just forget about that. And I miss that part of baseball. Same. I actually, my son Christian was in a tournament last week, and the first team they played, leadoff batter gets on, let's bunt him over. I was like, oh my God, they're playing small ball. I loved it, even though it was against my son's team.
Right.
And I miss seeing that in Major League Baseball. It's all about Earl Weaver, 3-run home run. Let's get that. But the Dodgers, yeah, they don't rely on the home run. We look at Freddie Freeman. He's having a tremendous tear right now. He's on a hot streak, but it's not about home runs. He's hitting the opposite field. That's when the Dodgers are successful. Grind out at bats.
You bring up a great point because my dad will watch the Met games and he says all the time, why aren't they bunting here? Why aren't they bunting here? Get the run. And Joe, people don't realize this. When the Yankees were so dominant in the late 90s and early 2000s, it wasn't because Paul O'Neill was hitting 50, 60 home runs. They do what the Mets do. The first 5 or 6 guys in the lineup take pitches, make the pitcher throw 60, 70 pitches, and they just
the game.
In the gap, right? Yep. I mean, you had the Giambis, you had, Tino Martinez who could hit home runs, but playing small ball, Houston does this as well. It's really how you win long-term in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, like we said before at the earlier segment, how many times has this Yankees team gone into the playoffs and all of us Yankee fans like, oh my God, this is our year. We're going to win the World Series. Aaron Judge, 1 for 15 in the series. Stanton, 2 for 17 in the series. 11 strikeouts, 9 double plays. Like the bats just go cold and there's no one knows what to do anymore. And it's always happened. So I'm hoping that, like I said, they've learned from past mistakes. And I'd love to see Aaron Boone kind of implement a little bit of small ball in the playoffs. I mean, if you can't beat them, join them is the saying, right? So I mean, when you go up against teams like a Houston Astros that just get under your skin, play their style of baseball. It can be done. The Yankees have guys on offense with bats that can get stuff done. They can get guys from first to second. They can lay down bunts. They got a little bit of speed in the base pads. It doesn't have to always be a 3-run homer or a loss.
By the way,
Monte,
earlier.
What I was going to say about what made the Yankees so great in the late 90s, early 2000s, Joe Torre turned that into a 6-inning game. He had probably the best bullpen in that era, and he'd get it through 6 innings, and we got this game. Greatest reliever closer of all time in Mariano Rivera. Get it to him. That's what made them so great.
By the way, Diaz for the Mets, he's averaging 18.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. He has, I posted this earlier, and all Yankee fans, he has been Mariano Rivera-like. His ERA is 1.5. He's striking out 2 batters every inning. And by the way, I talked about Brett Favre earlier, Wrangler. Look at Greg's picture here. Doesn't it look like he'd be on a Wrangler commercial with the cowboy hat, the nice trim beard? Very well done, Greg.
Marlboro man.
My brother in anger, is he going to the Stampede in Calgary with that hat? I love that, Greg.
Very nice picture, Greg. Joe, talk about the Yankee bullpen, how it's improved this year.
Oh, it's improved wholeheartedly. I mean, you have to. Like I said, I was talking to you earlier, Monty, Aroldis Chapman is not the Aroldis Chapman of old. Every time that guy gets in the game, we don't know what's going to happen. It's not lights out like it used to be. So you have to rely on that bullpen. They've definitely stepped up, and you have to hope that they could continue this momentum heading into the postseason. And with the large lead they have right now in American League East, I wonder, I'm not saying I'm for it, but I wonder if Aaron Boone might take a little page from the NBA and think about some load management with some of these guys. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Aaron Judge play a heavy part of the season. We talked about Stanton and the injuries that are always nagging him heading into the postseason. Do you take the opportunity to have these guys sit out a couple of games, save some of these arms for a postseason run?
That's a great point because I remember when Golden State Warriors broke the Bulls record and they were so focused on having the most wins. And then game 6 and 7 against the
Yep.
Cavs, they were shot. And Steve Kerr even admits it. He said, I think we just didn't have, the second, third gear because we were so focused. And then when we had to really play a great team like the Cavs, we didn't have the energy they had. And Joe, and same thing with you, George. I got to assume it's a fine line between keeping players sharp and resting. But the Yankees and Dodgers are, I think last week, the Yankees were up 15 games against second place Boston. I think Boston's going to be a seller at the trading deadline because their team is horrible. But George, speak about what George says. Are you resting your guys here?
Well, with the universal DH now in the National League, Roberts actually does that. You'll see Justin Turner. He might play, but he's going to be the DH, and he'll put Max Muncy at third. He's given his players time to rest. The only one who really hasn't rested is Freddie Freeman. I think he's played 94, 95 games this season. He's constantly playing, but Freeman's conditioned for that. He's still relatively young, but getting Turner some rest, getting Muncy some rest off the field, he will do that. He does it with Gavin Lux. The ones that are constantly playing is Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman. Bellinger gets a rest. God knows he needs it. Mookie Betts has been getting time off here and there. He'll do it behind the plate. Will Smith will catch maybe 5 straight games. Okay, let's get Austin Barnes in there. And Austin Barnes is pretty much turning into Kershaw's personal catcher. I think he's caught, if I believe it was out of 13 starts, he's caught 9 of them. So Will Smith's done the other 4. So he's able to mix and match regardless of the lead he has. He knows when to give his players a rest and to get them ready for that postseason run.
Okay, Joe, let's get back to you now. You don't have to give me a player, but what are 1 or 2 moves? I talked about this with the Mets earlier as I got to put my Mets City Field background up there for a little bit here.
Of course you do. It's good to see. Hey, it's good to see little brother shining this season. I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad at all. I am not mad at all.
That's not a compliment, dude. That's a backwards compliment.
It's
like George giving credit to the Clippers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who? That JV team in Los Angeles?
I'd be careful with that, George. I'd be careful about that one this year.
Hey, you know what? I tell Monte the Lakers hang championship banners at the arena. The Clippers hang selfies. So, I mean, someone. Did you see that post the other day? Since 1973, Jennifer Lopez has 6 rings. The Clippers have 0.
Yeah.
So, come on.
You can do the same thing. You can do the same thing with the Knicks, right? All right. So, Joe, give me a player or position where at the trading deadline you want the Yankees to improve.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm going to say Juan Soto because everybody wants to see him in pinstripes, but there's a lot to come with that. How are you keeping him contract-wise? And then are you going to also be able to keep Aaron Judge? But I'm always going to say pitching because I've just seen too many playoff series or playoff runs with my Yankees where we get there and our starting pitcher is supposed to be our quote-unquote ace. Can't get it done. We're getting shellacked. So I'd love to see some pitching, obviously a left-handed bat. And if we can get Juan Soto and not have to give away the entire farm, I say go for it.
All right, George, what are you doing here at the trading deadline?
Believe it or not, the Dodgers the last few years obviously have made a big splash at the trading deadline with Darvish, Machado, last year with Scherzer and Turner. Freeman says he's not looking to make a big splash. I mean, they've been linked to Luis Castillo out of Cincinnati. I think he would be a tremendous asset and a pickup as a starting pitcher for the Dodgers in the stretch run. Obviously, they've already called to Washington. What would it take to get Juan Soto? And it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. But we got to remember the Dodgers, who they have coming back. Walker Buehler will be back in September.
Yes.
Dustin May is going to go out on a rehab assignment for about a month. So they'll get him back at the end of August, September, and they're sending him out to build him up to be a starting pitcher. And that's going to help lighten the workload for Tony Gonsolin down the stretch run. So the Dodgers, basically what they're getting back is going to be like trading for players. Blake Trinan should be back at the end of this month, maybe early September. So that's going to help the bullpen. It won't surprise me if they don't make a big splash like they have done. I expect them to make a move here and there, maybe to get another left-handed bat. I know they were connected with Brandon Drury out of Cincinnati as well.
He's having a good year.
He's having a good year. So they've been linked. Rumors are linking him to the Dodgers. So I do expect a move, but I'm not expecting that big move. I would love to see them get Castillo.
I was watching the game last night on ESPN, and someone made a good point. They said, look, if you're the Mets, and you don't make a move, which everyone thinks the Mets are, but they said that's so demoralizing for your team when you see, the struggles, even though they're not admitting it publicly, the struggles with the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitter. And then all these other teams in your division are making moves and you stand pat. The guy made a great point. He goes, it's so demoralizing. So the Mets, whether it's Mancini, whether it's Martinez from Boston, whether it's Soto, they got to make a move because the Mets pitching staff and the way Diaz is pitching this year, they could beat anyone in the postseason.
Well, let me ask you, Monte. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know a lot about the Mets and their minor league system. Do they have the horses to trade?
Okay, they just drafted the kid from I think I forget one of the catchers with the 11th pick. Okay, and Francisco Alvarez, the catcher they have now, he's the #1 prospect in all the minor leagues. I don't understand because I said this in the opening. They have Nitto. They have McCann, who's been terrible and injured. I don't understand why they're not calling this kid up. And they say because he doesn't know how to call a game. But you put him around Scherzer. You put him around McCann, a veteran catcher. Let him learn on the job because Francisco Alvarez's bat is unbelievable. And the kid they got, I believe it's from Georgia Tech. Don't quote me on that. The other catcher, they picked him 11th overall. They said, Buster Only said it's like having Mike Piazza and Gary Carter in your farm system. So I'm willing to trade one of those guys, not for someone who's 32, 33, but for a Juan Soto. I'll give up a Bassett. I'll give up a Nimmo. I'll give up a Jeff McNeil. I'll give up a lot of guys to get Juan Soto.
Because, well, Washington's going to want players that are just about ready to come up.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
they're young major league players. They're going to ask for a boatload.
Yep.
I've heard rumors, like even there was a rumor that the Dodgers looked into Shohei Ohtani. And the proposal was that someone pitched it: Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Julio Urias, Gavin Lux, and some prospects. I'm like, you're going to give up basically or Tyler Anderson as well. You're going to give up 4 starting pitchers this year for 1 player. I swear, if Freeman made that deal, I would look for him and beat the living hell out of him. As great as Ohtani is, that would be a stupid trade for the Dodgers.
He needs to get out of there too, man. Him and Mike Trout both for just wasting their talent. You're rotting it with the Angels.
They wasted Mike Trout's prime years, and we're already seeing it now. He's on the other side of 30. His body's breaking down. They wasted probably the greatest player of this generation's talent.
I will say this: if I'm the Mets, I'd give up one of the catchers. I'd give up one of their starting pitchers. They have a young prospect, a pitcher in minor leagues, and I would give up a Bassett or a Peterson, a 4th or 5th starter to get Soto. That's what I would do. Because let's be honest, you need 3 studs to advance in the postseason. You don't need 4 or 5 guys. Yeah, pitching, but the Mets middle relief and like I said, their closer, they should be fine. Okay, before we move on to other sports, real quick, Joe, who's the MVP other than Judge for the Yankees?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with Nestor Cortez. That's just that's a pitcher who I did not see having the season he's having this year. A great start against the Orioles the other day. He has been a bright spot for the team for sure. I'd go with him.
Joe, George, talk about the Dodgers because, like you said, he plays every day. I think Freeman's the MVP, is he not?
Oh, I agree. I think, Freeman, you got to put him up there. You even have to consider Mookie Betts because, his average isn't as high as it is, but he's having a tremendous season for the Dodgers. Same with Trey Turner. And believe it or not, Gavin Lux is sitting just under 300.
Yeah.
Shocking the hell out of me. But, I would have a 3-way tie between Freeman, Mookie Betts, and Trey Turner as their MVP right now. I think they're the top 3 batters in their lineup, and they make that offense go.
And I give all the credit in the world to Freeman because, let's be honest, LA media is not easy. He came from, Atlanta, which is, a little bit more laid back. So, good for him. And listen, when they got him, I told you, George, I go, you guys should go back to the World Series. Although I think Houston is the best team in the league, and I think they're going to be super aggressive come the trading deadline. I am very scared. And Joe, you should be scared of Houston as well.
Something to keep an eye on, though. There's a lot of executives in the MLB who do not like the Houston Astros.
Yes.
Even though they've cleaned house and people have gotten fired and moved around, there'll be people that will not be willing to trade with that team because of their past. Just saying.
I mean, if they're not able to cheat, how they haven't won a World Series since they got caught cheating. So
interesting fact there, George. Interesting.
Exactly.
All right, George. Let's switch it up here to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Okay. all indications are that Anthony Davis, he hired a boxer. He's got a fitness trainer for cardio, weights. Listen, people want to make fun of James Harden. James Harden is working his ass off. He is ripped, okay? He took a pay cut. Anthony Davis is working his tail off. Just came out that there was a conversation between Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. They're going to make this work. How is this going to work, George?
I wish I knew. I was never on board with them getting Westbrook. He's a tremendous talent, and I won't deny that. I just never saw him as a team player, and he was going to have to take a step back. And, it's LeBron's team. It's LeBron, AD, and Westbrook, and he's never been that kind of guy, and it just didn't work last year. I mean, I think they played 21 games. The three of them they were on the court for 21 games, and they were 11-10. Westbrook for it to work, he has to swallow his pride and be willing to be a second, third fiddle. I don't know if it's going to happen. Honestly, I don't even want Kyrie Irving here. It's just too much drama with him. I kind of wish Pelinka would have made the deal last year when he had Buddy Hield. He had the deal done, backed out, and went for Westbrook. And I thought that was a huge mistake. And I know they're looking at Buddy Hield again, and I hope they make that move. If they can get him, great. If not, I don't have a feel with that threesome. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, I will say this. It's a clunky lineup. And, George, we've been saying this for 2 years now. If Westbrook wanted to win, he would go to the bench and he would become the sixth man, because on the second unit playing against, bench players, Westbrook could still be effective. All right, Joe, what are we doing here with Kevin Durant?
I'm not sure. I think that the Boston Celtics rumors, I think, are just that, rumors. I believe it when I see it. I mean, I tweeted it out earlier that I think that the Brooklyn Nets leaked that information just to try to see if they can get a rise out of Jaylen Brown.
100%.
Maybe
and by the way,
make some kind of Instagram post or Twitter post.
Jaylen Brown took it hook, line, and sinker because he responded.
Absolutely. And then I want to trade. You guys don't believe in me. Everything you guys said everything Brad Stevens said is a lie. Get me out of here. And then there he goes to Brooklyn. I think if you're the Celtics, that's a bad trade only because of all the depth you're going to have to give up. You're not going to just give up Jaylen Brown. You're going to have to give some people that you relied on this past season to be scoring people or be elite defenders. I understand he's Kevin effing Durant. I get it. I'm a local guy. He's from the area. I definitely understand that. But he's also not the KD that was drafted by OKC. No, so I just think for the Boston Celtics, that's a bad move. So at the end of the day, everybody can drink now. I think KD either ends up back in Boston back in Brooklyn, and they make some kind of move during the season. Or I still think Phoenix might be in play. Somehow, some way, Phoenix might pull it off.
Hey, Joe, I got a question. Do you think Durant has plateaued in terms of his skill level?
Ooh. No, but I think that the injuries definitely have affected him. I mean, it's two major injuries. So I think that's affected his game and affected his level of play. But I don't think he's peaked yet. I think he's still rounding himself into shape. I think he can still take his game to another level. He's still one of the best, if not the best, one of the top 3 scorers in the league when the ball's in his hand. And when he's on. Steph Curry be damned.
Yeah, as much as I don't really care for Golden State, I love watching him play. I didn't care where he was. I've been a fan of his since college.
I mean, he's a 7-footer, can put the ball on the floor, can take you in the post. People said when he first came out of college, he always so small, he's so skinny. I haven't heard people talk about that 1 minute since he came into the NBA. Yeah. He just finds a way to get the job done.
Yeah. I remember when they were talking about the draft, it was Greg Oden this. I say, whoever gets Greg Oden is going to make a mistake. It's going to be like Sam Bowie, Michael Jordan all over.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Much as I like Sam Bowie in Kentucky, but I just saw Durant said this guy is going to be a stud in the NBA. You could just see it.
Yep, absolutely.
I will say this. Boston, what are you doing? Okay. Have you not seen Golden State draft players, develop them, get to the NBA Finals? Have you not seen the Milwaukee Bucks stay with Chris Middleton, stay with Giannis, build around him? Boston, you just went to the NBA Finals with Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and now you add Malcolm Brogdon, and you're going to go after Kevin Durant, who's on the back nine of his career? What are you doing, man? Malcolm Brogdon is now the point guard. You didn't have Marcus Smart. Admirable job. Did a hell of a job running the point. But now you have a young nucleus of players. Why the hell would you give that up to bring in Durant?
I hope to God they do, because I hate seeing Boston win. I mean, in the NBA, I'll be honest, the NBA is better when the Lakers, the Celtics, the Sixers, even the Knicks, when they're really competitive. I think the NBA's better. Ratings are better. But I never want to see Boston win another damn ring. So trade them out, get to the playoffs, get knocked out in the first round. Great. If you want to be that stupid, because there's no way in hell Red Auerbach would ever do a move like this. He knew how to build.
It's not even that. It's just if you look at long-term success in the NBA,
no, it doesn't.
You got to build through the draft. You build.
Red Auerbach was great at doing that.
Look at Phoenix with Booker and Ayton, and listen, you can add free agents, right? You can add a Chris
for sure,
Paul,
absolutely.
But you got to build your. This is why the Knicks have failed. I've said this a million times. The Knicks have had 2 players that they drafted since 2000 to make an All-Star team: Kristaps Porzingis and David Lee. They traded them They traded them the following year. The Knicks are always looking for the quick fix, and the Celtics just went to the NBA Finals with a young core and Al Horford. Stick with it, man. All right, George. Final question about NBA. What can this guy bring to the table? Rookie head coach Darvin Ham.
I think he brings credibility. People need to remember or realize that he was actually with the Lakers at the end of Kobe's career. So he knows the LA market. He understands the quote unquote Laker tradition. And I think he will have the ears of the players in that locker room. Problem we saw the last couple of years after the Lakers won the championship in the bubble. And we've said this about other teams, other players. Once they get that ring, they don't want to work as hard. You bust your tail to get that ring. You got to work even harder to get the next one. And a lot of the players did not do that. And
that's
Vogel
a great
lost
point.
the team.
But I will say this, Giannis and Chris Middleton worked hard. If Chris Middleton didn't get hurt, I think they would have been to the finals. The Golden State Warriors, when they won the title, were like, screw you. You said we sucked. They were talking so much trash because even though they were injured, but they had that hunger. So, Joe, going along those lines, I think if these two teams are healthy next year, if they're healthy, we're seeing the Bucks versus the Warriors. Do you agree with that assessment?
Ooh, I do not, only because I want to find out what happens with Durant. If KD doesn't go anywhere and stays in Brooklyn, I can agree with you, because a dark horse team for the KD sweepstakes, in my opinion, still, even though people aren't talking about them anymore like they were at first, don't sleep on Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. I mean, how many of us saw, I still go back to it, nobody saw the LeBron, Chris Bosh thing happening at all. We were at work, school, doing whatever. We got alerts in our flip phones back in the day, and we're like, holy hell, what happened? And who are the Miami Heat? So don't sleep on Miami. It can still happen.
But okay, I would still take the Milwaukee Bucks big 3 over Kevin, because let's be honest, no one could guard Giannis. No one can guard him. And Jimmy Butler can't guard him. So if the Miami Heat, they're probably going to have to give up Bam, Tyler Hero. Forget about Kyle Lowry. He's old and washed. But they're going to have to give up a lot of young guys. And it's basically going to be a 2-man team with Durant and Jimmy Butler. And let's be honest, Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is unique. But I would still take Kyrie in a big moment over Jimmy Butler, because he can't shoot the 3 and he can't spread the defense around. So I still think Milwaukee's better, even if Kevin Durant goes to Miami. George, your thoughts?
I would, we got to remember, Pat Riley is very shrewd at making deals. He could get Durant and it would turn out to be a steal. Yeah, on paper, it's like it's going to cost an arm and a leg to get KD out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But Riley, it wouldn't surprise me if he made some deal that no one's going to see coming if he's going to do it. But I have to agree, if Milwaukee is healthy, I think they're the team to beat in the East. I would have said Philadelphia, but they got that player with the Kardashian curse on them, and they're not going anywhere. But yeah, health-wise, I have Milwaukee coming out of the East if they're healthy.
All right, let's move to the NFL here. I say this all the time about the Jets, Joe, and it's just beyond incompetent, right? The Jets haven't had a franchise quarterback since Joe Namath. I mean, that's it's sad, but that's the case, right? And I look at the Washington football team, and I can't root for the Knicks consistently, because James Dolan is not only just a horrible human being, he's just a terrible owner. And the same thing, it may be because it's in New York and it's been swept under the rug. But Isaiah Thomas, they had to pay millions of dollars for sexual harassment. There were allegations, and they settled. They wouldn't let him talk about it, about certain money being transferred that should have never been transferred. How hard is it to root for the Washington football team when every scandal, sexual harassment, misogyny, laundering money, everything this guy does is corrupt?
Laundering money? I didn't know he was that bad. No, I hate Dan Snyder. We all do here in the District of Columbia. We call DC, Maryland, and Virginia the DMV, and the whole DMV despises this man. We every time we see a headline that says Snyder subpoenaed, Snyder maybe out because of this, it's a joyous day. We think this is the moment. This is finally the crime that's going to get this guy the hell out of here and can restore the greatness which once was our franchise. So far, has not happened at all. I'm hoping that this latest scandal.
He's untouchable. It's like he's untouchable.
I hope this latest, well, like I've been telling everybody, if it comes to fruition that he has been affecting the other owners and stealing money from their pockets, it's a wrap. My man's gone. Right. But the key word is if. I just have to, I block him out, man. Most of us as fans just block Dan out. He's just kind of, oh, yeah, that guy. We cheer for the team and the product on the field. When you mention his name, we just go, oh, yeah, that guy. I mean, there's Twitter accounts that follow his boat and follow his plane to find out where he's at to see is this the moment where he's going to finally get caught doing something wrong. I think he couldn't run the team, was out of operations for a season, so his wife ran the job. I mean, it's nonsense up here in the owner with him. At least the front office seems to be becoming a little bit more competent with Jason Wright. I like Ron Rivera. I'm a Riverboat Ron guy. I think he can get the things straightened out here, but we just kind of block out Dan. It's tunnel vision. He's the cousin we all forget about until you hear him screaming at the party and you go, oh yeah, there's that drunk idiot.
Oh yeah, right. I can relate to that because I had that same problem with that person who used to own the Rams and took him to St. Louis. So I understand.
Yeah, but you know what? The Rams, at least they won a championship. And what's so amazing about Washington is people don't realize this. Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks.
Correct.
I mean, how insane is that? How insane. You talk about Bill Belichick. Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Talk about a system working. Okay, settle an argument with me quickly before we talk about the Rams. Who are you guys taking, Kyrie or Jimmy Butler, in a big playoff game? George, start with you. Ooh. I'm taking Kyrie.
Oh, this is easy. I'm going Kyrie Irving. We see he has the pedigree. We all remember the jump shot against the Warriors in the finals.
He does have the pedigree. I have to agree with that. Off the court, I don't care for him. On the court, you got to admit he's a tremendous talent. I would have to go with Kyrie over Butler.
But
what a shot creator he is.
Something happens to Jimmy Butler during the playoffs. He gets 40 points. He doesn't even shoot a 3. Like he becomes a poor man's Giannis because he doesn't have the size and the strength. But he's dropping 40 every night. At one point, when they're playing the Celtics, I'm like, how is he still scoring?
They don't make him work on defense.
I still go Kyrie.
You got to make
shot creation is unbelievable.
You get a score getting hot. You make him work on defense. And if you don't make him work on defense, he's going to continue getting hot. You move him around. Because I remember that was Rip Hamilton's big thing with Detroit. He was constantly moving around, and the shooting guards, all the twos were chasing him. They were getting tired by the fourth quarter. Their legs were shot, and they weren't going to hit shots that they normally hit.
All right, George, I'm coming out with an article, my preseason top 10 power rankings for Nuts and Bolts Sports in the NFL. Tell me why the Rams should be favored to win the Super Bowl, because I have them number 1. Spoiler alert.
Way to give the lead away, Monte. 5 views in that article.
No, because I do have a bunch of surprises in there, so it's going to be worth it. But George, this team just gets richer. You add a linebacker from Seattle, you add a wide receiver from Chicago. Like everyone wants to play with Sean McVay.
Sean McVay, he's a tremendous coach. He's young, he's enthusiastic. The players buy into his system. He's a player's coach, and a lot of times he's going to take responsibility. If something goes wrong, hey, this was on me. I think only one year when he kind of started ripping Goff at the end of Goff's tenure with the Rams. But other than that, he takes the blame for what goes on that field. It's his fault. It falls on me. So the players love playing for him. They bought into his message from day one, and any player that comes in, they buy into that message. Your question is like, how will the Rams repeat? I'm hearing a lot of people talking, it's Tampa Bay, because that guy came back. Just because you can't breathe on them, they think they're going to win. But the key for the Rams to even getting close to repeating is two things. One, health. We saw what happened with Tampa Bay. They weren't healthy all year.
San
The
Francisco's
year they
never
won
healthy.
the year they won, they had no problems with injuries. Rams got to be healthy. Two, and I've said this before, the hunger, the determination, the drive. Aaron Donald, the day after the victory parade, where was he? Back in the gym, getting ready. You got to be, he said, I'm glad I got the ring. It makes me hungrier for the next one.
I don't think that's going to be a problem with the Sean McVay team. I think he'll find ways.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue with the Rams either.
I hope that's the case. But we get some players like, okay, I want to get paid. I'm leaving. I want my money now. I don't care about winning, or I care about winning, but I'd rather get paid more. So I know training camp starts this week. I'm hoping to be there next week just to check it out with my son. But it's got to be about the hunger. And they have I think they have one of the toughest schedules this year.
Well, I mean, first of all, that division, anytime you got to play the 49ers twice, who, Kyle Shanahan up until last year has pretty much owned McVay. But I like the Rams in that division. Okay, Joe, talking with Joe Cardoso here, the owner of Nuts and Bolts Sports, and George Lopez, who covers LA sports. I think this division is fascinating. I think the Chiefs are the best team, and then the Chargers make the playoffs. But a lot of people are telling me, look, the only thing Denver was missing was a quarterback, and now they have it. Who comes out of the AFC West, Joe?
Ooh, I'm going to go with a pick nobody's picking, or not at least when I'm
the
seeing.
Raiders?
No. I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Okay.
I think Justin Herbert is, man, if his coach can just get out of his way, and let the kid ball, and with the pieces they have on defense, I think they can definitely win the division and come out on top there. When it comes to KC, take a step back. I think we're going to find out a lot about Patrick Mahomes because now you don't have the Tyreek Hill security blanket. So now we're really going to find out, is it really him and Andy Reid, or was it more Tyreek Hill? What I mean by that is when you bring in Juju, when you bring in the receiver from the Packers, are those guys able to come in? Those guys able to come in and just fit as pieces of the puzzle and not skip a beat. Obviously, you're not going to be able to have the same throw the deep ball or what the hell, throw it deep. Tariq's down there somewhere. That philosophy's gone. But we're going to find out a lot about Patrick Mahomes. But I really think the Chargers, man, the offense, that defense, just stop making the stupid decisions on the coaching staff in critical situations during the game, and they can surprise a lot of people here.
Yeah, stop going for fourth down on your own 30.
Spoiler alert! In my article, Joe, that I wrote, I said. One of the things I said about the Chargers, if the coach could just get out of the way.
Yeah, just let him play, man.
What I said. It's exactly what I said.
I got to see Denver first. I got to see it. A lot of talk, but I got to see it.
I'll tell you this. Look for Khalil Mack to have a huge year in that system with the Chargers. Oh, man, because we saw what Leonard Floyd can do in that system. Look for him to have – if he doesn't get 17 sacks this year, I'm going to be surprised. He is going to have a tremendous season
on the other side.
With both on the other side, look out.
Ridiculous, man.
They should be a top 5 defense easy this year. And then they picked up Sebastian Joseph Day out of the Ram. He knows that system. He's going to be that run stopper up the middle.
And I love Derwin James. I love him.
Yeah,
so
the talent on that team is ridiculous.
All right. No team, we talk about the 49ers having a lot of issues with injuries. No team suffered more than the Ravens. Now, look, George, am I crazy here? I think the Ravens win this division, and then the Bengals in second. The Bengals, Joe Burrow got sacked 83 times in 2 years. I think Pro Football Focus has them now 7th or 8th in the offensive line. But I think if the Ravens are healthy, they win this division.
Oh, I agree completely with you. The popular pick is going to be the Bengals to win it because they made it to the Super Bowl. And yes, they did address the offensive line, so Burrow should have better protection. But if healthy, I like Baltimore. And Lamar Jackson's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder after that defensive coordinator made that comment about him. He's going to have a tremendous year. Don't be surprised if he's going to be in the running top 3 for MVP this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially since, people are – listen, the guy wins games, right? The guy wins games. I understand he's not the pure pocket passer, but I think the Ravens system is perfect for him. They drafted another tight end. Andrews is one of the most underrated, one of the most productive tight ends in that system.
Yeah.
Joe, who do you like winning this division? Or do you think the Ravens win it? Or are you going back to the Bengals? And let me ask you this question. How good can Mitchell Trubisky be with the Pittsburgh system? Because Pittsburgh has a lot of talent around them.
That's another one, my wait and see list. I got to see it when it comes to Mitch. I mean, I know he had that Pro Bowl season and took the Bears to the playoffs, but a lot of that was on the back of that defense, if not all of it. So I have to see it. When it comes to that division, I love Joe Burrow, man. I'm going with Cincinnati. I mean, they put so much money into improving that offensive line and getting this kid protected. They realize they have a franchise quarterback, and they're not going to have one for long if he's getting the crap kicked out of him for 18 to 17 weeks or 20 plus weeks if you're making a serious playoff run. I like Cincinnati. I think they come back hungry. I think they saw literally a play here, a play there. They could have been Super Bowl champions. And if that doesn't fill your hunger in the offseason, I don't know what does.
I look at that last play on fourth down when Donald got to him.
Yep.
Half a second more, he had Jamar Chase wide open down the sideline because Jalen Ramsey slipped.
Yeah, I know Cincinnati than Baltimore.
Yeah, okay. It's going to be a tough. I lean towards Baltimore, but it's going to be 1-2. It won't surprise me if it's a game difference. I think they're going to split their series this year.
Joe, let me ask you this question. I talked about the Dolphins and the speed that they have at wide receiver and their defense, but tell me one team in the NFL that you think can surprise a lot of people.
You know what? No, I'm not going to go with that team. Never mind. I was like, what evidence do you have to back this statement up? None. Let's move on. Man, a team that can surprise everybody. No one's really talking about a lot. I go Philadelphia Eagles, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. I think with the addition of AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, yet another offseason to learn the playbook and really be certified as you are the man. The additions they have in that defense. Yeah, I'm gonna go with either two teams, Monte, actually, Philadelphia or the Colts. You're a quarterback away, right? You got Matty Ice. He's legit. So I'd have to go Indianapolis or I have to go Philadelphia.
Well, I know our brother in anger is not going to like this. I actually have Philadelphia winning the East. I have them taking the East this year.
He won't like my
I don't think that's a far-fetched at all, George.
I don't either. I think, it's going to be between them and Dallas, but I give Philadelphia the edge this year.
Nothing's between Dallas, but anyway.
Philadelphia, Pro Football Focus has Philadelphia ranked number 1 on the offensive line. They now have 2 legitimate wide receivers. Their running game is going to be very good, and their defense is top 6-7. So I think Philadelphia wins the division. I really do. And I think Dallas will be good, but I agree with you, Joe. Philadelphia is my surprise team. George, who's one of your surprise teams?
You're not going to believe what I'm going to say. Detroit.
Oh, stop.
We're done here. We're done here, people.
Obviously, think about it.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
6 of their losses last season were by 1 score or less. I mean, they lost to Baltimore when Matt Stover hit a 66-yard field goal that went off the crossbar to go over. They were competitive, even though the record, you look at the record on paper, they suck. They were competitive a lot that last year, and those players bought into Coach Campbell. They love playing for them. I'm not saying they're going to win 10 games.
Jared Goff. That's all I got to say. Jared Goff.
I agree. They're a quarterback away, but I like the nucleus of this team. Don't be surprised if they win 8 games this year.
Okay. All right.
That's my surprise pick.
All right. Let me ask you this question. Do the Packers win the division? Because I have the Vikings winning and the Packers finish second in division.
I think the Packers still win the division because, the Vikings are basically going to play the Rams offense, and they should have a tremendous year because, they got the talent on the outside with Thielen, Jefferson, and Irv Smith as their tight end, and they got one of the best running backs in Delvin Cook. It's their defense that I draw the question mark. I think the defense is going to be their downs, it's going to hurt them this year. And that's what's hurt them the last couple of years. The offense will put up points. Kirk Cousins should have a tremendous year in this system. But I like the Packers defense more than I like the Vikings defense. And I think that's
Joe, last question here. It's way too early. We don't know what's going on. Who's the best team in the AFC? Who's the best team in the NFC?
God.
Let me just say this. I'm going with Kansas City and the Chargers. I do not buy into the Bills because they rely too heavy on Josh Allen. And let's be honest, Kansas City has been to the AFC Championship 4 straight years. And in the NFC, I like the Rams. So who do you like in the AFC? Are you going with the Bills?
I'm going to go Buffalo and the AFC. Again, the taste in your mouth of being so close, and obviously just need to get over the hump. And then the NFC, yeah, I like what the Rams have done. I have to go with the Rams. I'm not one of those people that thinks just because Tom Brady's back, the Buccaneers are suddenly going to be this juggernaut of a team. I think they have some questions they have to answer as well. So, yeah, those are my two picks. I'd go Rams going up against the Bills.
The problem with Tampa is they're playing in a division that is just terrible. You know, Sean McVay retires. Drew Brees retired 2 years ago. Atlanta's rebuilding, and we don't know what's going on with Carolina. If Baker Mayfield's your starting quarterback, that says it all. Although if Christian McCaffrey's healthy, he should win you 7 games alone. Just on
but he doesn't. Unfortunately, he doesn't
sleep on
stay
the
healthy.
Saints, Monte. I don't think New Orleans. I don't think New Orleans is trash. I think.
Well,
Jameis
we know Monte
Winston
doesn't like the Saints, so he looks to trash him any chance.
Jameis Winston was having a pretty solid season until he got hurt. I'm not sleeping on New Orleans.
And that defense.
I'm not just saying this because I have because I have a picture of Mariota. Their skill position players are all 6'3" and above. So I think Atlanta will be able to put up points. But my point is with Tampa Bay is they're playing in a weak division. George, who do you like in the NFC? Are you taking the Bills too?
Yeah, I have to agree with our boss.
Oh, come on.
I had last year.
They've never won anything.
It's time.
Yeah, but last year I had the Rams in Buffalo in the Super Bowl. That was my pick last year, and I got Buffalo. I think it's going to come down between Chargers and Buffalo in the AFC Championship game, depending on where that game is played. Because
you don't want that game played in Buffalo.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
that
would be tremendous. I would love to see how Justin Herbert throws in that wind, in that cold. I think
different than Oregon, not too much.
True, but I think that would be a tremendous game. I think it's going to come down between those two. I know people in my family that are huge Raider fans are going to be pissed me saying that. I think the Raiders will get to the playoffs, but I still think they're about a year away to really be a dominant team. Give them a year under Coach McDaniel. But I like the Chargers and the Bills. And yeah, I still, if the Rams stay hungry and healthy, I like them coming out of the NFC. And I think it's going to be a tremendous Super Bowl, whoever they play.
Okay, so George, hold on a second here. You think the Bengals and the Ravens are making the playoffs? Are you saying Raiders, Chiefs, and Chargers make the playoffs as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Okay.
I really do.
AFC West is so deep.
You think the Raiders will be better than Denver?
I do. I think every team in the AFC West is going to finish above 500, but I do think the Raiders will beat Denver.
I think save that clip, Monty. Save that clip. What he just said.
Yeah.
Save that.
I do think the Raiders will beat Denver. I think they can get to Russell Wilson, their pass rush. If you want to learn how to get to Russell Wilson, you look at the Rams playbook. They've owned Russell Wilson. Granted, Seattle's offensive line maybe isn't as good as Denver, but you got Max Crosby, Chandler Jones coming off that, rushing for the Raiders. I think their defensive line is going to be tremendous. I really like the Raiders to get into the playoffs. I see them winning 11 games this year.
Man, unless they had some kind of come to Jesus talk, that Raiders secondary is still suspect, man.
Agreed. I agree.
Why isn't DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett begging to get out of Seattle?
That's a good question.
That's a good. I mean,
your Hall of Fame quarterback leaves, and it's like maybe because one of the things I said for so long is someone like Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro, they get lost in Seattle. Like I don't know what's going on up there. It's they basically chose Pete Carroll over Russell Wilson. Why would they do that?
They got Drew Luck over there as quarterback. They should be okay.
Geno Smith.
Oh, God.
All right, George, love having you on. How can we follow you? How can we support you? What are you going to be doing besides being on my show this Sunday during the season with the Rams and any other Dodger articles coming down the pike?
Well, actually, I'll be getting ready to getting started on my Rams article for the upcoming season. I know training camp's starting this week, so I want to take a look at what's going on. I'm leaning towards actually doing a Charger article as well, since they're an LA team now. And getting closer to training camp, I'll be working on the Lakers and the Dodgers. I'll probably get another Dodger one going as we get past the trading deadline. Then I'll have a Dodger article going, see what the Dodgers did at the trading deadline. And I was leaning towards doing something for the Angels, but it's just depressing even thinking about them, so I'm staying away from it.
Yeah,
I'll see what they do at the trading deadline, and then I might do something. But right now, I'm getting my stuff together for the Rams article, so look to see that probably within the next week. So I'll have it out there so we can get it posted.
I'm telling you right now, if I'm Boston, if I'm Anaheim, I clean house. I clean house like the Cubs did last year and 2 years ago. Just clean house. That's it.
Yeah,
Move
I
on.
think Syndergaard's going to be gone. I'm hearing
Yeah.
St. Louis is looking to make a play for him, which I think would be a good pickup for the Cardinals. I think Syndergaard's going to have something to offer. This year, he used it as a tryout season to show everyone, hey, I'm back. Maybe I'm not throwing 98 right now, but I can still pitch.
The Yankees have the record for most consecutive winning seasons. I think whatever it is, 23, 24. And right in second with like 15 or 16 is St. Louis. And people don't realize how consistent they are. All right, George, love having you on. We'll see you down the road. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Hold on real quick.
Yes.
Hey, Joe, since I have you here, let me know about waste management.
Year. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
throwback. We'll have to take it back to our 20s if we go to that. A lot of water. Stay hydrated.
I agree.
All right, George. Thanks so much. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you,
guys. Okay, Joe.
Obviously,
Nuts and Bolts Sports. We're going to events now. We have not heard from the Miami Marlins, have we? For my Mets this weekend.
No, we have not. Still got time, though. They still have to. Once the deadline hits for people to turn in all their applications, they'll review them, and they'll start shooting out emails.
Okay, so tell everyone, Nuts and Bolts Sports, we're at a ton of events, articles all the time, shows. This company is growing leaps and bounds over the past year. Tell everyone what's going on.
Yeah, you're right. It's been simply incredible. It's hard to keep up. That's a good thing. Just like you said, just nonstop content. We just brought on 2 brand new writers. We brought on Charlie, who will be covering the Buffalo Bills for us this season. We also brought in Mello Williams, who will be covering the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a little bit of Packers coverage as well. So 2 brand new writers, a couple of shows on the horizon. Of course, No Huddle Necessary will be coming back this football season. That's kind of NBS's version of Around the Horn with a new host. Host will be Bill Carroll. And when Bill Carroll's unable to make it, we'll have Randall Gim hosting that show. So that's coming up this NFL season. I was lucky enough and privileged enough to actually get to know and be introduced to Philip Daniels, 15-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl winning coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. He is starting a brand new show with myself and Larry Bazzani called The Perspective. So every Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern, we'll be live, and we'll just be going over the week that was in the NFL, talking a little fantasy, talking a little sports book. And then obviously with his career spanning 15 years, I can only imagine the Rolodex of guests we'll have on that show as well. So yeah, The Perspective is coming down the pipe Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern. Super excited about that one.
And Joe, what are you going to be focusing on this football season with you in particularly?
I'm going to be focusing on all the young quarterbacks in the NFL, guys that are in their first year, second year, third year. How to live up to expectations. Is Zach Wilson going to be what Jets fans thought he was going to be?
No,
or is he a bust?
He's going to be exactly what I thought
Trey
he would
Lance.
Be.
We saw a sample size of him. I'm kind of confused how that sample size made him the messiah of the 49ers. And people are acting like the season's going to be fantastic. Am I missing something? We talked about Mitchell Trubisky, things like that. As a quarterback storylines, what I'll be paying attention to.
I'll answer the Zach Wilson question for you. There's a reason the Jets never have a franchise quarterback. They are a terrible organization. He's going to be a bust. And hopefully when he leaves the Jets, his confidence won't be so beaten down that he could still hook up with his friends' moms and stuff like that, like he did, like the story just came out last week. So hopefully that doesn't break down his confidence.
So you're trying to tell me, Monte, in the year of 2021, when he had his workout with the Jamarcus Russell and the Ryan Leaf and the Achilles Smiths and all the things we've seen when we go to these workouts and scouts get wild and guys skyrocket up the draft boards, we still fell for it, and the Jets drafted a guy who didn't deserve to be drafted as high as he was. I find that incredible if that's true.
Let me a few years ago, the Jets acquired Darrelle Revis in the offseason because Bill Belichick let him go. A few years ago, the Jets acquired Percy Harvin from Seattle because Pete Carroll let him go. And I said the same thing. Am I supposed to think the Jets are smarter than Pete Carroll? Am I supposed to think the Jets are smarter than Bill Belichick? Darrelle Revis was shot. Percy Harvin was terrible. This is the organization, like the Lions, that is mired in failure. Bad decisions.
What did the Lions do to you?
They haven't been
bullets, man.
They've never been to a Super Bowl. The Jets haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1969. When Zach Wilson got drafted, I said he's the 5th best quarterback in this draft. And he will be. And it has nothing to do with him as a person. When you go to a crappy situation, no matter how good you are, you cannot succeed.
Strong words. Okay.
That's it.
Those
All
are
right,
things
Joe,
I'll be focusing on, though.
Let me ask you this question. Washington over 9 wins this year.
Ooh. I'm going to say yes because I still am drinking the Kool-Aid that our defense is top 10 when healthy.
Okay.
When healthy. So, yes.
Okay.
And I can't ever let Dallas be better than us at anything.
So you're saying 10 wins is possible?
Yes, I am.
Wow, really?
We'll burn the tape.
Okay. And last question. How confident are you in Carson Wentz?
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 10 today, right now, I'm at like at a 5.5. Again, I got to see it. Guys like him, Russell Wilson, I got to see it before I can say, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but the difference is Russell Wilson has won and had success.
True.
Carson Wentz, a small sample size of success.
Yeah, but the different story, though, is this is Carson Wentz's last shot, I believe, in my opinion, to be a starter in the NFL. Yeah. He can go the Chase Daniels route and be a 15-year veteran riding the bench, never seeing the field. But if he wants to be a legitimate starter in the NFL, in my heart, I believe this is his last shot.
And one more thing with Zach Wilson and the Jets, they're rated like 29th in wide receivers. Like, here's what I don't understand about the Bears. You say we're going to trade away, we're going to rebuild, and you have Justin Fields, and your wide receivers are ranked 32nd. So, like, how are you supposed to develop a quarterback with no wide receivers? The Jets don't have wide receivers, and neither do the Bears. How do you do that to a young quarterback?
Well, I think in the case of the Jets, it's a lot of young, unproven guys. So you have to hope, if you're a Jets fan and you're the Jets organization, you got to hope, hey, out of these 6 guys, 2 or 3 of them are going to be legit. You got to hope the tight end we drafted actually becomes a pretty good, serviceable tight end. A lot of hope and wishing and praying.
Joe, let's answer this question, then we'll get out of here. Think about the history of the Jets. Can you name one legitimate multiple Pro Bowl player at wide receiver other than Keyshawn Johnson and Wesley Walker from the 80s?
Lavernius Coles, before we stole him in Washington.
Come on. If that's the best you have in 40 years of being in the NFL, come on, man. Come on. This is my whole point. Like, they don't draft wide receivers. They don't draft running backs. No one they get is legitimate. They get good centers. Nick Mangold. That's what they get. They never get elite skill position players. It's like Bill Belichick. He can't draft wide receivers. Every wide receiver he drafts is a bust.
It's good to see you go into the season with a full of optimism for your Jets, Monte. I like that. I love to see it.
I'll say this. The over-under for me watching Jet games this year is 3. 3. That's what it is. I'm going to watch the Atlanta Falcons, the Chargers, and the Green Bay Packers.
Nothing will make me happier than to see the Dallas Cowboys make it to the NFC Championship game and get blown out.
I don't even want them to make the playoffs.
Oh, make it all the way. It makes the heartbreak of Cowboys fans that much better.
Well, someone did say again, going along with George's thing, J-Lo has 6 rings. The Cowboys haven't had any since what, 1993, 94? When's the last?
It's been a while. I mean, we're no better, but it's been a while for them too, for sure.
Hater. All right, Joe. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We'll see you down the road.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem. All right. I want to thank George. I want to thank Joe. I want to thank you. We will be back Monday, next Monday at 6 p.m. with a ton of new guests talking NFL football. Remember, 1 week from Thursday, the NFL season starts with the preseason game. So NFL's here, guys, and we're going to be doing a ton of shows. I will have my article tomorrow on the top 10 power rankings in the NFL. You've been watching the Full Monty Sports Show. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. And in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. Record that will never be broken. They hit big shots. The Clippers have no idea. Oh, look at that reaction. Look at that reaction.